Right. What's this about, Rich? Come on. What's the real thing behind this story? What's going on? Some book?
The first book I want to talk about is Mattias' new book, Cromalin Strikes Back. And I purchased a new proof, a long time ago now. Was it before Celebration in London, wasn't it? Yeah. Oh. But it's possibly my favourite of all of the Star Wars books. And when anybody asks me anything at all about, what kind of book should I buy, that's the one that I point to. And we talked about it a little bit last month, and we were delighted that it got backed again on the Kickstarter campaign, so that newer collectors and those who missed out on the first two printings can get a copy. But Cromalin Strikes Back's coming out as well, so rather than us rabbiting on about it, I'm delighted that Mattias has agreed to come on and to give us an interview on that book. So let's cut over that interview now. Well, I'm delighted to welcome Mattias Rendahl back once again to the Vintage Rebellion. Mattias, once again, thank you for coming on.
Thank you, Rich. Honored to be here again.
Now, over the last 5 years or so, we often get asked a lot of times to recommend Star Wars books, and there are so many great books out there, but your book is always in the top 3 when we discuss them. Sadly, for those who missed out on the first chapter, they've been unable to purchase a copy until very recently. So Mattias, will you tell us about a new proof, which I think is due for its 3rd printing now?
Yeah, it is the 3rd printing, and and you helped me with the 2nd one with the editing. Thanks for that. That helped a lot. Yeah, but so I constantly had questions over the years. Where can I buy the book? And I didn't know if I dared to print a whole new edition of it. So I went with the Kickstarter route to see how much interest there really were. Well, at least there were enough of interest to do a 3rd printing, so I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, because you said for a long time you were unsure if there was going to be the demand there, because if I remember right, was it quite a slow trickle of books, and then as you got close to selling out, all of a sudden everybody wanted a copy?
Exactly. It's like we've seen other books, like the Kellerman book, was like there's always seemed to be a demand for it, but you never know is it worth to do like a whole print run with thousands of books, or is it like 20 people that wants one? I didn't know, so it was a great way to find out how many there really were, and I'm happy with that, because even after the Kickstarter, people that didn't back the project have interest in it. So it was a great way to promote the books and to see how the interest really were.
Now, for any of our listeners who haven't backed the 3rd printing on Kickstarter, you really need to listen to this interview to get a copy, because I really can't imagine a 4th printing coming out at any point.
Oh, I hope not, because the economy is killing you with if I had done a really big edition of the 1st printing, then it's it costs as much every time you do a new printing. It costs the same amount, but yeah, at least, well, hopefully the demand is I have enough books so everyone gets a copy that wants one.
Yeah. So the reason why I've asked you to come on is Volume 2, The Cromalin Strikes Back. I mean, I've been so looking forward to this for so long. So other than the obvious time difference period, can you describe this book and what will be the differences between this and a new proof?
Well, the basics are the same. It's a book about the packaging design from this era, and we go into explaining the old school way of creating the cardback designs, how that happened, explain the terminology, which different kind of proofs and Cromalins that are out there. Look a lot into the design firm that made this happen. That was one of Canada's vendors. So the basics are the same, but obviously there were a lot of more characters for the Empire Strikes Back, which I did I knew that when I started to make the book, but I couldn't imagine how how much more characters and different proof cards that would actually take space in the book in form of different kind of proofs and informations. And like I said, we all know which characters that were released, but the vast differences and how much stuff that is really out there for Empire, that was like not a surprise, but yeah, it was a lot more of that.
I've never really considered, actually, now you've said that, the fact that we've got alternative art now creeping into cardbacks. So do you cover like both different types of alternative art, for example, Yoda and things like that, and Leia Bespin?
Yeah, absolutely. So like Leia Bespin, Luke Bespin, and Yoda for the 32 backs. It's like you have 48 characters, and many of them exist on at least 8 different kind of card backs. Of course, more were released to the public, but as far as proof cards, so you can do the math yourself. It's a lot of possibilities for a lot of characters.
This must be a bigger book than the last one, then, because I thought the last one was ram-packed, chock full of information. Yeah, this must be more pages, surely.
Yeah, it's like it's almost twice the page number, almost at least, and a lot of more information.
Wow.
Much more text and everything, and tons of more pictures.
Well, I've got to say then, because of all of that, as a fellow Star Wars collector, I have to thank you for keeping your price point down to an amount that I would consider extremely reasonable. I think a lot of the books recently have been so expensive that a lot of us have been priced out of it. But the price of this, it wasn't that much different from the last book, if I remember rightly. You've done a great job there.
Yeah, it's like, if you compare the page number compared to the price, it's like, yeah, it's a little bit more expensive. It's priced at $65. I wish I could do it like, I could do a big edition and print it in China to get the price down, but then I wouldn't have the control. I would have a stock for the rest of my life, and so I wanted to print it domestically to support the local printer here. It's like a small family company, and I can go there when they're printing, and I can have a nice proofing in person.
Yeah, and $65, what a bargain. Now, I've been reading up a bit of information you've sent, and you've said you discussed the blister creation process as well. So that's not something that you covered in the first book, so I'm going to find that extremely fascinating.
Ah, sweet.
Now, this one's been co-authored with Ben Sheehan, with contributions from Ron Salvatore, Mark Solotti. So what involvement did these guys have, and do you think it's taken the book onto another level?
Definitely another level. They were like, for the first book, it was difficult to write different text for all the different characters. It was like 21 characters, and like many of the items in there are like the same, so it's different to write different text and everything. And now, like I said, we have 48 characters and a lot of more proofs. And I felt like I'm an art director by profession. I'm not a copywriter, and so quite late in the process, and me and Ben have talked a lot over the years, and he's like a packaging expert. He's a journalist, writer, and we talked about projects over the years for a very long time. So we talked about like, hey, maybe it's time to be a co-author on this book and help me out. So I made all the text drafts, and then he took it and made our awesome work with all the text. So it's if you think that the first book was good as informative, I think this is even more informative and more fun to read and more to read. So he definitely helped me improve this one a lot. And then Ron and Mark Solotti has helped me with the edits, and the time pressure on them has been crazy, and on Ben and on me. So I'm extremely grateful that we managed to do it in time.
I honestly don't know how Ron's got a life. The amount he gives to the community, it's just unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
I hear you. Exactly.
So have you done anything differently this time? Perhaps something that may benefit other self-publicising authors? Have you learned from any mistakes from a new proof?
That would be to have more time with the editing, but we didn't have more time with the editing. That would be the first thing I should have learned. But it's always like that. You're always like, when there's a deadline, it will always be a catastrophe in the end. But other than that, no. Not really. I learned a lot from the first one, and I took all that with me to this one. And one of the major things is like I only to work when you think it's fun. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, the result won't be good. You don't find enjoyment in doing it, and probably that's why it's taken such a long time. It's like 5 years since the first book, and I've been working on and off it during all those years. But when we had the celebration on the horizon earlier this year, I said, like, I gotta get this one ready for celebration. So I started to work on it much more heavily and finished everything. And well, celebration didn't happen. Nothing happened. So that bought me and my team some more time to work on it even more and better. And now we're there instead.
Oh, well, there may be some positives than with celebration being cancelled if you can, add a little bit extra to the book. And you sounded remarkably like George Lucas here, talking about wrapping up a movie. There's never enough time.
Yeah, exactly. No, and I know all my Swedish friends that I used to travel with to celebrations. They're extremely happy because they're like mules going to celebration. They're filling their suitcases filled with books and always worried about customs, having like almost 1,000 books in suitcases and everything. So they are very happy, and so it's better. Kind of better this way. So next time we have a big event, I don't need to bring thousands of books.
Now, when preparing for a new proof, you mentioned that you uncovered a lot of information that you weren't already aware of. Is the same true for Cromalin Strikes Back? And if so, what was the most jaw-dropping moment for you this time?
Yeah, it's like a lot of the research for this one was done at the same time for a new proof. So when going through my friends' collections and emailing, Skyping, and visiting in person, I discovered a lot of things. So most of the discoveries were done already back in 2014, 13, 14, and 15. But what has helped me a lot over the last 5 years is that people that like and have bought a new proof book have been contacting me about like, hey, do you have this proof for the Empire one? Do you have this for the upcoming Power of the Force one? Do you have... So the community at large has helped me a lot, and people have been contacting me. I thought I had like 99% for the Empire book already 5 years ago, but because of that book, people have approached me. Have you seen this? We just found that. And so that has been a great experience to see. And the Facebook groups has helped a lot, discovering new proofs that has been missing in action since many, many years ago. So,
wow,
yeah.
That's fantastic. So have you gone back to a new proof then and added anything in that's perhaps missing from issue 2?
Yeah, I thought a few bits. I wanted to do add many things, but when going through it, I discovered that it's, as far as I know, it's very much complete, if you ever can say that about collecting. But so I wasn't able to add very much. There's a few, there's like a Cromalin for Luke, original Luke, that I wasn't aware of, that's added. A few Cromalins for the Death Squad Commander, and some concept pieces. Other than that, I haven't been able to find more items that's possibly out there. So it's good and bad. It was pretty complete, if you can say complete in this world, but from the start. But yeah, I added a few things, but wasn't able to add a ton of stuff because I don't know what else is out there.
Wow, that's excellent. So great research from the start. And now in the first book, you had some great interviews, and I honestly loved the interviews because, you know, we've all got ideas of what these guys may have to say, but it's never accurate. And when you listen to the guys, and it's very clear to many of them, it was just a job to them at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Do you have any good interviews in this first book? And I believe that Kim Simmons possibly has got some kind of contribution.
Yeah, Kim has helped me a lot. He's been very generous with the contributions, with his old photography. So there's quite many items from him in the book, and there's a more in-depth interview with him. Last time there was more of like an article about Kim. Now it's an interview. I also recycled Tom Nyheisel's interview because he plays such an important role, because he saved a lot of the packaging design. And we also have a new feature in this one. So we have a collector interview as well, with Tim Eckholt, one of the biggest and nicest packaging design collectors out there. So that was a fun thing to do as well.
Great, that's fantastic. I don't know Tim that well, but I'm really interested in reading that. Now, this may sound like an odd question, but if somebody's only interested in the Empire Strikes Back time period, and we do have some collectors, especially in the UK, who only focus on one time period, can they buy this book and yet still understand all the technical terminology that you defined in book one, and they don't want book one?
Definitely. So this is like, you can see it's a standalone book because like the process is explained again, all the terminology is explained. So you will definitely understand everything. And I think like what's made me so happy about the first book is that a lot of like people that don't collect proofs, but they are interested in what's out there and understanding, like there's a huge interest among the ordinary collectors as well to get an understanding of like how everything was so difficult and back then, creating the cards we all love to collect and see, no matter if we collect production stuff or pre-production stuff. So I think it's a standalone book as well, and you will definitely understand everything. And tons of images to look at. So, yeah.
You've just reminded me of something. I don't know if I heard this on the Archivecast or I read it in one of your articles online, but I think you said that many people who buy this book aren't actually Star Wars fans, and they are interested in pop culture, or perhaps they're interested in 2D art. Was that something that surprised you?
It was. Like, this packaging design series, it all started because of my own interest. I want to do a niche book about this because I love it so much. I work with it, I collect it. My father was in the printing industry. It's like, it's so close to my heart, and I want to do this for myself and the few proof packaging design collectors that are out there. But so yeah, I was very surprised. It's like a lot of designers from all over the world that work with modern packaging design has bought it, think it's very cool. Advertising agencies, people in the movie industry because they love Star Wars, but not collectors per se. And of course, all all the various collectors out there, and even like after the book was released, was like I was almost afraid that people would say, "But hey, this is so niched. I only care about like production stuff or loose figures." But the response so far has been like, "Man, this is so good. I love to have an understanding of how everything started and what went on with everything, no matter what I collect."
You've just described me there, because when I bought the first book, I was kind of like, well, I'm a toy collector and I don't have any box vehicles and I didn't have carded figures. And I thought, I haven't really got the interest that might necessitate me buying that book. But from the second I bought it, I just couldn't put it down. It's just so good. And if anybody's out there in the same position where they're only perhaps interested in loose figures or they're only interested in loose items, you honestly do need to buy this, because it's such an informative and interesting book, and it gives you an appreciation into what actually went on. You know, these aren't just bits of cardboard that have had art slapped on them and sent straight out. The entire process is fascinating.
Yeah, exactly. So that was what surprised me the most, and what I'm really most like grateful for from the community, that it was appreciated from all over. That made me, of course, very happy.
So, I mean, obviously, a lot of our listeners are going to be hinting on to their wives and girlfriends and husbands and partners for Christmas presents. So, where do I go to buy this book and see sample pages?
I have a new website that's dearpublications.se, DEAR publications.se. There's a shop where you can buy both the books. There are new proof one that's limited. I only made a few extra copies from the Kickstarter, but I think there will be enough of that. And I try to make the site, there's like a start, almost like a blog with, my aim is to fill it with all kind of different packaging design articles, linked to other books in the community that I like, etc. So yeah, head over to their publications.se and hopefully you'll like it, no matter if you're buying a book or not.
And how much did you say this book was costing, and when would be expecting to be shipped?
It's $65, and it will start shipping in, let's say, in the 2 to 3 weeks. I'm actually, before we started, I'm working on the last couple of pages for the printer. So they already printed the cover and they're preparing most part of the book, and now I'm doing the last changes on the last couple of pages. So after we are done, I'm sending the last things to the printer. So we're almost there.
I mean, that time scale just blows my mind. You know, the fact you're still printing them now and you're going to have them shipped in 2 or 3 weeks. I mean, that's amazing. That's a true dedication.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be a task for sure to get all the books out. But yeah, I have great friends and company that helps me pack and ship stuff. So I know how that people want them as soon as possible. So hopefully we can speed things up.
Absolutely.
But I'm most worried about like the world's postal system, because there's so many delays now. It's getting slightly better the last month or two, I think. But yeah, well, hopefully it will ship fast.
Yep, and we're going to share this information far and wide. I'll get an article done for Panther Tracks once I've got my copy. So good luck, Mattias. I really hope, that it sounds like a lot of people are going to back this one as well. So hopefully we can get all of the XX stock shipped as soon as possible, because, you need your costs back as soon as possible.
Yeah, that's true. I don't expect that to do that within a year or two, but I'm really relieved and very happy, and I hope everyone will like the result just as much as I do.
Yeah, and you promise us you're going to take a little bit of a break before you dive into the next one?
I don't know about that. Now I'm working a lot on it. So now I'm like almost keen on starting on the return one as well. But I probably should learn from my mistake from the last one. I dove right into this one right after, but I was really exhausted. So maybe a little break.
Yeah.
Not start until after Christmas at least.
Yeah, definitely after Christmas. You've got plenty of alcohol to top up on between now and then.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, thanks very much for your time, Mattias. I know you're very busy. I'll let you get back to your printing.
Yeah, thanks, Rich. Hope to see you soon.
Hello there. You may remember me from The Empire Strikes Back. Now, don't forget to hit subscribe and also click the bell for notifications.